Good afternoon, Bay Nation. Welcome to another episode of Fantasy Bay. I'm your host, Mike Williams, and today we're going to be going over the waiver wire for Week 5. The hat is back, baby. I think this is going to be my new waiver wire hat. I really like this thing, and I'm looking for a reason to wear it. Seems good enough for me. Waiver wire hat, let's go. Starting at the top of Jimmy Garoppolo went down with an injury, and in comes Trey Lance. Trey Lance looked absolutely fantastic. He only played a half of football and got 20 fantasy points. This is why people were stashing him at the beginning of the year. I stashed him, and I hope you did too. If not, grab him up off the waiver wire, whether it's for you or to keep him away from somebody else. Up next, I think this Sam Darnold is actually a really good grab. I've been talking about him for weeks now. Not only was he the #1 quarterback this week, but he's also the 5th quarterback on the year. Definitely scoop him up. And last but not least, I think that you can grab Daniel Jones. He threw for 400 yards and he's going to be good with his legs as well. The Saints were a tough matchup and he came through. I definitely think that you can start him next week against the Cowboys. Moving on to the wide receiver position. Darnell Mooney seems to be the favorite target for Justin Fields. I definitely think he is worth an add. He's been playing pretty well. 5 receptions for 125 yards this week. And he's leading the team in targets. I like Darnell Mooney, and I think he's going to be solid moving forward, even when Andy Dalton comes back. Next up, Jamison Crowder. Crowder's been injured this year, but his season debut was pretty solid. 7 receptions for 60-plus yards and a touchdown? That's what I'm talking about, Crowder. I think that he'd be a solid add in PPR leagues. He also led his team in targets with 7. It's pretty good on his first game back. And let me go through a couple of receivers that I think that are worth adding and checking to see if they're on the waiver wire. Hunter Renfrow seems like he's definitely going to be involved in this offense. I like AJ Green. Yes, I know he is one of 4 receivers that are getting targeted, but I still think that they're going to be solid because the Cardinals are going to throw the ball a lot, and it doesn't seem like they're going to be funneling it just to DeAndre Hopkins anymore. Randall Cobb looks good, as well as Devontae Parker. Both of those players should be readily available on your waiver wire, so if you're desperate, I think they're a solid grab. And a wide receiver flyer that you should keep on your radar, if not add this week, Josh Gordon. You don't want to wait until you see him on the field with Patrick Mahomes before you pick him up. I definitely think he is worth a grab. Maybe not a grab and play, but at least a grab to see what he's got, right? Last time we saw him, he looked incredible, but that was a long time ago. So I definitely think he's worth grabbing and stashing. Up next, we have the running back position. Unfortunately, the reason why these first 2 players are vaunting into relevancy, due to injury. The first one, David Montgomery went down with an injury, and fortunately, we found that it's most likely not going to be an ACL tear. We haven't gotten definitive results back yet, but the team doesn't believe that at the moment, which is a very solid start. While David Montgomery is out, Damian Williams is definitely going to be the add, and I actually think that he is the best pickup at running back this week. We don't know how long David Montgomery is going to be out, and he's already proven that he's a solid running back that, if given the work, can do pretty well. So I think that he's going to be a fine grab. Up next, Joe Mixon got injured again, and the coach says it's going to be day-to-day. Adam Schefter says week-to-week. I tend to believe in Adam Schefter. So I think that week to week is most likely what we're looking at. Last year, if you don't remember, they said Joe Mixon was going to be week to week, and it actually ended up being like 4 or 5 weeks out, and then they shut him down for the year. So I don't really trust what these coaches have to say. I definitely think this is a situation to monitor, but when one man goes down, somebody's got to replace him, and Samaje Perine seems to be that guy. I think that he's going to be a solid add this week. We don't know how long Joe Mixon's going to be down, so I think if you're hurting for running back, he's a solid grab. Moving on. This next one has nothing to do with injury, but the Eagles don't seem to be wanting to use Miles Sanders, so fire up Kenneth Gainwell. He's getting involved in the passing game and the rushing game, and for whatever reason, Miles Sanders has had less than 10 rushes combined in the last week. That's wild. Pick up Kenneth Gainwell. I may not be starting him right now, but I do think that he's a solid add on your bench. Other players I'd like to mention that you're probably not going to start, but pick up to hold to see what they got, is the clear-cut backup to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and in that high-powered offense, they've proven that they believe in him and that they will use him, especially during the goal line carries. I think that he's going to be a solid add to hold if not just for the CEH manager, if not for somebody that just needs a flyer to sit on their bench and see what happens. Just like this next one, Brandon Bolton. He's a running back for the New England Patriots. He seems like he's going to be filling in that James White role. James White, unfortunately, is going to be done for the year, and everybody knows James White catches the ball. That's like his calling card. So I think that Brandon Bolton is going to be that guy moving forward. He had 6 targets last week, and I think that that's going to probably continue. Mac Jones is the rookie, and what you're trying to do for rookies is get it to the tight end and get it to the running back. Just quick passes for him. So I think Brandon Bolton's a solid grab to stash to see what he's got moving forward. On to the tight end position. Dalton Schultz seems like he's definitely going to be a thing now. He led the team in targets, 6 receptions for 58 yards and a touchdown. Let's go. Those are great numbers for a tight end. I think that he is worth a grab. I know that Blake Jarwin is also being targeted, but it seems like Dalton Schultz is that guy right now. So I think that he's a solid grab. Up next, Dawson Knox is a great pickup at the tight end position. He had 8 targets last week, 5 receptions, only 57 yards, but 2 touchdowns. Let's go. I think that they're going to use him in the red zone. You want a piece of this Bills offense. They're clearly going to be throwing the ball a majority of the time. So I think that he's going to be a solid add. Not just for this week, but also moving forward. All right, and last but not least, my defenses of the week. Surprisingly, I think that the Dallas Cowboys are a solid grab. Draymond Diggs has been looking really good as a cornerback, and they're facing the New York Giants. And I know that I told you to start Daniel Jones, but just because Daniel Jones has a good fantasy day doesn't mean he has a good real life day. He will probably throw picks, he'll probably get sacked, but he's gonna make up for it with his legs. That being said, I definitely think that the Cowboys are going to be a solid defense against Daniel Jones. He makes too many mistakes. I also like the Vikings against the Lions. The Lions did not look great last week or the previous weeks. They're just not offensively strong. Their receivers don't scare me, and for whatever reason, they were not using the running back position this week, which is strange. I think that the Vikings could be a solid defense against them, so start them up. Even though somehow the Tennessee Titans lost to the New York Jets, I still think that they're a solid defense this week against the Jaguars. The Jaguars are terrible. I know that's what we said about the Jets, but come on. It's the Jaguars. They're going through their own trials and tribulations at the moment. You know who I'm talking about. On a serious note, I wish everybody the best, but clearly their head is not really in the game right now. I think that the Tennessee Titans should be a lot better. Hopefully they get Julio Jones back and A.J. Brown. Maybe not A.J., but hopefully Julio. I think the lack of offense really held them back this last week. So hopefully Julio Jones comes back. And if not, it's still the Jacksonville Jaguars. I just don't think that they're going to be playing well. And that's going to do it for this week's Waiver Wire. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification down below. If you have any questions, hit me up, and good luck on the wire this week. Peace.